Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you've been following or if you haven't subscribed yet, go and click that subscribe button and like and that notification bell for more updates. Previously we configured an external DHCP here and also configured a router on the stick. We configured some VLANs and we configured inter-VLAN routing here, but don't worry much about that. If you didn't watch the previous videos, I am going to include another VLAN in here because we're going to add an access point and then wireless LAN controller to this network since it's growing big, right? So these PCs are going to get IP addresses from the DHCP in a different LAN. As you can see, these one have got 10.10.10.100. And this one has got, these ones have got 10.10.30.101. So let's go into the switch configuration and check the configs. If you haven't been watching the videos prior to this one, we're gonna say enable show run. Then you can see we have VLAN 10, VLAN 20. Those are the VLANs that we have configured. So let's configure a management VLAN for the wireless LAN controller, and that's going to manage the APs. So we're going to say, for example, let's look at the VLAN configuration, show VLAN brief. So we have the engine VLAN 10 and 20. So let's create maybe a VLAN 30, config T. Then we're gonna save VLAN 30. We're gonna give it a name of management. Say management. Then since we have created this VLAN which is going to be into the management VLAN of the wireless LAN controller, it's going to need a default gateway. So we're going to also configure a sub interface of the management VLAN. So we go to the router here, then we're going to say enable show IP interface brief. So we do have sub interface .10 and sub interface .20. So let's create the one for the management. We're going to say config T interface G01. Then we're going to say this is the physical interface that we're going to configure the sub interface. So let's configure a sub interface. Interface gig0/0 dot 30, right? And it's going to go up. Then we're going to say encapsulation dot 1Q30. Since Packet Tracer doesn't support tagged traffic, the wireless LAN controller doesn't support tagged traffic, we're gonna make this VLAN a native VLAN. So let's say encapsulation the 1Q30, then we're gonna call it a native, right? Then we are good. I'm gonna say IP address 10.10. Okay, let's not put 10. Let's say 10.10.0.1 255.255.255.0. Then this should be good. Do right. Yes. So once we have done this, we are almost there. So now we have a sub interface for this one. And then let's go back to the switch. Let's configure port. Since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 used, let's configure port 6, 7, and 8 to access VLAN 30. So here we're gonna say interface range, fast Ethernet /6 to 7. Then we're gonna say switch port mode. The switch ports connected to the APs are gonna be access ports, but the switch ports connected to the wireless LAN controller, they're gonna be configured as trunk ports, right? Switch port access, switch port access VLAN 30. Okay, and do right. Then we're gonna minimize this one. So once you minimize, let's add the wireless AP. Where is the wireless AP? Let's take this one. Put it here. We're gonna just add one for demonstration purposes. So we're gonna put okay. For DHCP, we need this AP to get a DHCP server. I think this AP needs to be powered on. The physical, let's drop the power here so that it gets on. So that we turn it on. Yes. Now it's on, but we needed to get an IP address. So let's configure a DHCP scope in here. Services, DHCP. So we have this one in the .30, then this .10. So we're gonna create a new one. Okay. We're gonna create a new one that's called management. Then we're gonna say the default is the sub interface .0.0.1 with the subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Note that you can use this. You can use the internal DHCP server of the wireless controller if you want, but for here I'm going to be using the external DHCP. Okay, DNS server. Let's put the DNS server as 10.10.20.10, which is the IP address of the server itself. Okay, we can leave everything here, then we can say save. Okay, now it's right here. Save. Okay, let's see if this one has managed to get an IP address. It's still trying, which is okay. Into this VLAN 30, we'll wait for it to get an IP address. While it's getting an IP address, let's add a wireless LAN controller. Then let's get into it, because you need to use the console cable if it's a physical wireless LAN controller to actually configure it for initial configuration so that you can access it through the web GUI. But Packet Tracer doesn't support you to connect to a wireless controller using the console cable. So let's configure this wireless controller to with an IP address. So come to management here, then we're gonna say 10.0.0. We have used .1 already, so let's use .2. Come on, .0 here. Default gateway is the sub interface. .0.1. DNS server is the IP address of the server. The 10. Then we are good. So once we have done this, now we can access the wireless LAN controller web GUI using a PC. So let's connect a PC to let's introduce a PC to our diagram here, to our network diagram. Yes, let's connect this PC into port number 7 that we connected to actually connect. So we have used .1, .2, and so this one can be .3. Let's give it an IP address of .3. So let's go to desktop, configuration, static, then we give it an IP address, let's say of 10.0.0.4 for example. Subnet mask 255.255.255.0, default gateway 10.0.0.1, DNS servers, the IP address of the server .10.20.10, and that should be fine. Okay, so let's check, did we configure port 8 to be in VLAN 30? We can say do show VLAN brief. So we can see that we have a management VLAN 30 with port 6 and 7. So we have already used 6 and 7. So let's configure 8 to be part of the, so we're gonna say interface +0 8, and we're gonna say switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 30. Then we're gonna say do right. So we're gonna configure this to port 8. Port 8, configure it to G01. Okay. Alright. Config. It's on DHCP. I don't know why it hasn't got an IP address. Let it send. Let's try to send it another one. Now we come to this guy here. We're gonna try and ping 10.0.0.1, which is the sub interface. Should be successful. The first 2-3 pings will fail because it's going through ARP. No, it didn't work. Let's ping .2. Which port is this one? Okay, I can ping .2. Okay, there's one thing that we have forgotten. Let's try to ping .1 again. .1, it's not working. So we created this DHCP server, but we didn't point to where the DHCP server is. So let's go back here and say interface. Let's do a short interface. Do show IP interface brief. So this interface is up. Yes, you can see that. So let's go into that interface. Interface G0